Hello, this is OC Skywatch. It is the 8th of February. It's currently 7:20 p.m. and I'm making this video because after a rather disappointing weather system struck us in Southern California, only delivering my location about a half inch of rain, and some areas got more, but yeah, it was rather weak and it's just mainly a strong wind event. After that, the weather controllers have once again set up a stationary high pressure off of the coast of California. If you want to see the documentation for that weak weather system that was obviously modified to begin with, go check out One Pacific Redwood. He has pretty good documentation of what happened. Anyways, I'm just mainly going to cover the stationary high pressure ridge. This map right here shows February 5th, 3 to 6:30 Zulu. This is actually when this high pressure ridge was pretty much beginning. It hadn't crept up into Washington State yet. Anyways, let's go and let me tell you what's going on here now. Okay, you can see that there's obviously a high pressure that's stationed off the coast of California. There's a lot of heavy aerosols in this mess. What we see off the coast of Northern California and Oregon is looks to be two little lines right over here are very faint. They seem to be going in the opposite direction of this flow. There's one right here and then one right here. I don't think that's my monitor doing that effect. These lines here are an indication of high pressure being built up, that's for sure. And you see the air over Southern California getting drier. Of course, they're using the ionospheric heaters to build up this high pressure ridge, and the aerosols are being laid to go and help this. But anyways, yeah, that's a pretty funny feature right here. Definitely noteworthy. Out to the west, we see a low that's trying to form. Unfortunately, though, yeah, it's not going to go into the west coast because it's going to be blocked by high pressure. Okay, well, let's go into the shortwave. We see again the clockwise rotation off the coast of California. This time it's more pronounced. Anyways, yeah, just look at that. Some funny activity towards right here. So don't think for a second this is natural. Anyways, though, you get the point. This thing, there's a lot of odd stuff happening in here. Up to the north, off the coast of Northern California and Oregon, bit of strange stuff happening. It just doesn't look right to me. Okay, let's look at the storm surf maps right now. This is starting at February 5th, 18 Zulu. This map was brought up after these two satellite maps. That's why the times are a little bit different. Anyways, you get a general idea of what's going on here. Right now, at February 5th, 18 Zulu, you can definitely see an interruption in the jet stream. Okay, and then, yeah, it just pretty much, in another like 30 hours, it rebuilds up into something much more massive. On February 7th, 0 Zulu. Okay, February 7th, 12 Zulu gets really strong just in time for the Super Bowl. You know that Super Bowl can't be rained on. It's a multi-million dollar thing, so probably bought weather futures, options, etc. Anyways, continuing on. Okay, plus 60 hours. February 8th, 6 Zulu. It looks like the thing is pretty much peaked. You can see that the high pressure ridge has expanded up British Columbia all the way down into northern Baja. Yeah, it's pretty much a stationary disruption. It lasts many hours. it doesn't move off to the east too much. I mean, eventually it breaks down after the weather controllers they stop applying the ionospheric heaters in that one position. Okay, moving on. Plus 126 hours, February 11th, 0 Zulu, and then so on. You gotta realize though that there is a consistent disruption just right off of the coast of California, or the west coast. It's a constant interruption, I'm telling you. You know, a consequence of this high pressure being here is get some really hot temperatures. Feels like summertime right now as I'm making this recording. February should be, instead of having it be around 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, it should be like 60 degrees and raining. That's typical February weather for here. Yet we're not seeing it because there's a constant interruption in the jet stream. Just look at that. And you know, when there's a high pressure ridge that's built off the west coast, it has to rebound. All that air, so basically that jet stream goes up into Canada, brings down the cold air into the east coast area, and yeah, you're gonna see the temperature map. Anyways, just look at that for a second. It's very similar to the polar vortex we experienced in the early part of 2015. And it's sure it's not going way up into Alaska, but still it's enough to bring some cold air into the eastern side of the United States. Meanwhile, the west coast is boiling because we can get the direct sunlight, not many clouds at all. And yeah, definitely not good. Okay, let's play this one more time. See that constant interruption in the jet stream? Nowhere else in the world is this happening. The southern hemisphere at the same latitude is pretty much blowing through, but up here, nope, the weather's completely clamped down. You want to know why all the trees are dying here? It's because of this. The ionospheric heaters and the chemtrails completely shred the ozone layer, allowing deadly UVB and UVC to reach the surface. I still need to get a UV meter and show you my results, but haven't had the funds yet for the equipment, and also it's winter time. Not all the UV is going to be, the maximum UV is not going to be till June, so yeah. Okay, this is water vapor for February 5th going into the 6th, a little over 12 hours after the previous map. And yeah, you can see that flow is changing a little bit. Okay, there's low pressure that's heading into Washington and British Columbia, but down here it's just a drought. The high pressure is actually starting to calm down a little bit, but it's going to start rebuilding very shortly. To the west, we have another low pressure system. There's quite a bit of dry air towards the core, but hey, what do you expect when there's a lot of weather modification going on? You're gonna get crap like that. And look at all the aerosols, of course, typical clockwork. Create that capping inversion and prevent stuff from forming in this area. You know, they don't want to have a huge low pressure developing here, so yeah, that's what they do. Just they aerosolize the crap out of the moisture offshore, so nothing really happens. And they also use the ionospheric heaters to keep things in check. Okay, this is February 6th going into the 7th, 1730 to 1 Zulu, and you can see that in the course of less than 24 hours, well, it's definitely more apparent in the water vapor satellite loop. Look, all the aerosols being laid all throughout here. Now that's very nice. Also notice there's getting a little bit drier. Again, we have the aerosols helping the ionospheric heaters. Very typical. And also up to the northwest, the shape of this low pressure in this front looks a bit strange. Just seems unusually straight, both over here and over here. Okay, let's stop this for a second. Just look at that, it's like a 45-degree angle. Okay, let's unzoom and then play. You can see that the high pressure is definitely building up and starting to expand up more towards the north. As the high pressure gets more towards the north, that's going to start dragging down more cold air into the eastern part of the country. And that is just unusual activity. Okay, let's just slow this down. Off of the California coast, you see some funny activity. There's like a little line here. Very, very minute, but it's going like in the opposite direction. Or is that my eyes playing tricks on me? No, I don't think so. Just look at this line right here going opposite of this general flow. Very interesting. Yeah, see this right here? Just it's moving in the opposite direction. Okay, let's move on. This is the visible satellite for the same time, and you can clearly see that there is some funny activity going on off of the coast of California. Then this high pressure is starting to expand up. Anyways, yeah, this thing right here, when I brought this thing up, this thing really got my attention. See little things exploding out, like right off the coast of San Francisco. Look at that. That looks very strange. And you know what's also strange? The large amount of clearing out in this area. There's no clouds at all, really, so to speak of. Sure, there might be some, but it's just very minor, and then they just go away after a certain amount of time. Or they could be aerosol clouds. Who knows? But anyways, though, let's just have another view of this. Okay, I zoomed in pretty good, so see what's going on. It's just like a few little miniature explosions happening in this area off the coast of San Francisco. Also see some aerosols being laid down in here in these little streaks. Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't think I've seen that before happen in this area. So I'm just gonna put this into the video. And again, this low pressure ridge doesn't look like the traditional perfect spiral. Looks more of like some man-made geometry. You could see that stuff looks a little bit off. I don't know, that's just my opinion that it's not looking right. Okay, this is the sea surface pressure analysis. This is February 7th, 0 Zulu, and you can clearly see that there's high pressure that's dominating just right off of the west coast out in the eastern Pacific. Here's that low pressure system. It's pretty powerful. That's 961 millibars, I believe. There's something right here showing up at 1004. Anyways, yeah, that's definitely a low pressure system, but again, you see the shape is a little bit off, in my opinion. Okay, this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. There's low pressure right here, and the high pressure is actually marked right off of the coast. See this ridge here? And here's the 300 millibar. Again, high pressure is marked. After a few more satellite images, you can see that this high pressure ridge gets really, really big. One thing I forgot to show you is there's actually some tropical moisture that's trying to come in from the south, but yet it's being blocked by this unnatural man-made high pressure ridge. Even looks like they're starting to attack this thing right here, so it doesn't do too much, doesn't impact our weather. So basically what we have is low pressure being blocked from the west, and then low pressure being blocked from the south. Let's go move on. Okay, this is the relative humidity maps. I have 4 of them here. February 7th, 0 Zulu. In 48 hours from this time here, you're going to realize that this, you think it looks dry now, but in 48 hours, it's going to be a whole lot drier over the west. This is 850 millibars here, and there's a lot of dryness in central and southern California and off the coast. Northern California is a little more moist. This is at 5,000 feet. Okay, 10,000 feet. There is still some moisture at this level, must say that. But again, in 48 hours from this time here, it's going to be quite a bit drier. Okay, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. There's a lot of dry air over central and southern California. Northern California has some humidity, but that's going to change. Okay, 300 millibar, 30,000 feet. There's a mixture of dry air and moist air. Look at all this moisture down to the south. Too bad this high pressure ridge has to be installed here to block all that. By the way, I think they were chemtrailing into that moisture field down to the south as well, so even if they let it go up, it wouldn't bring a whole lot of rainfall like we would expect. The aerosols create that cupping inversion and block a lot of the rainfall. Okay, this is February 7th, 19 to 22:30 Zulu, and you can see that the high pressure ridge is expanding. In time for the Super Bowl, there's definitely a lot of clouds disappearing, retreating. Stuff's definitely drying out. And what we noticed off the coast of California is there's quite a few of these lines appearing. That's definitely aerosol spray. Yeah, all this stuff is heavily polluted. When I see these types of aerosols, there typically is high pressure around, strong high pressure. Could it be some sort of solar radiation management program? I don't know. I know the ionospheric heaters, they do, in fact, blow holes in the ozone layer. Could this be an attempt to minimize the damage short term? But anyways, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Still, man, look at that area of cloudlessness. It's huge. And still off the coast of Baja, I'm seeing these clouds as they try to head up, disappearing. That doesn't look too normal to me. Okay, this is visible, same time. Yet again, you see the very unusual clearing off the coast of California and northern Baja and up towards the northwest as well. See this thing trying to spin up, but it's being blocked by a bunch of high pressure. A lot of these clouds that are trying to come up they're completely dissipating. Again, pretty much towards the center of this high pressure mass, there's a lot of these lines showing up. Just look at that. These things look quite a bit thicker than the normal aerosols. That's why I asked if it's a solar radiation management program or not. To the west of this high pressure, there seems to be a low pressure trying to go and develop. It's like another notch kind of thing. Just an area of tightly squeezed low pressure. This thing's trying to form up, but unfortunately it won't make it past the barrier, high pressure barrier. It'll have to go up and around into Canada, and during that process it'll most likely be crushed. It's just your standard weather warfare clockwork. A lot of these systems, instead of going right into California, they're just rerouted or destroyed. We've been seeing that all winter long. They only let a few in, and even those storms are heavily suppressed. Okay, this is water vapor for the same time. Yet again, you see the high pressure building off the west coast. Stuff's opening up, getting drier. And that's no good. It's a blockade, blocking all this weather from getting into California. And you know the weather has to go somewhere, so it's just going to go up into Canada and down into the eastern US. And that just leaves us in California with some more drought. Man, look at this unnatural shape right here. Even looks like there's a hole right here that's being burned into this thing. I don't know, it's just like a sudden area of dry air appearing. Alright, let's continue on. This is February 7th going into the 8th, 23:30 to 11 Zulu, and yeah, what you see here is this high pressure ridge just continuing to get drier. And yeah, during that time we got some rather strong wind coming out of the northeast. I'm going to show you the wind map in just a couple of minutes. This video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to wrap it up pretty soon. Anyways, yeah, just look at the drying and everything. This high pressure just continues to expand up, dragging everything into Canada and down. And that's going to just bring some cold weather into the Midwest and eastern US. Oh, wow, there's even some aerosols that are quite visible off the coast of Oregon. Yeah, that's just going to help with the ionospheric heaters, keeping the high pressure going. You know what's funny? In this view, this other spray is not visible. Must be a different altitude or something. Also, this low pressure rate to the west is, well, there's definitely some dry air that's being pressed down over here. That's just going to protect Hawaii from all this weather, I believe. And yeah, it's just going to go, this low pressure right here is just going to be squeezed out and go up into Canada. It's not going to bring us any sort of precipitation or on the west coast. This is shortwave, and pretty much the same thing. The aerosols up here being lain. This moisture field right here is being cut off, and everything's being sucked up into British Columbia and heading out into the Midwest and Eastern US. Here's off the coast of California again. In this very, very dark area in the water vapor map, here's this spray again. I'm still pretty convinced that it's at a lower level. It's not up into the jet stream or anything. Could be a different purpose, different type of chemtrail. And look at all that. Slow this down. Okay, this is a few hours later, February 8th, 1930 to 23 Zulu, and yeah, look at all that dry air off of our coast. My gosh, that is ridiculous. It's no good. All this weather is just going to be driven up. Here we're just extremely, extremely dry. We have the manufactured drought to deal with. Okay, this is the visible satellite, and yet again, there's a ton of opening off the west coast. It's expanding, well, off the coast of Mexico all the way into Canada. Just look at that lack of clouds. Very strange. This giant blockade. That's a little interesting feature off of northern Baja. I'm just going to assume that that's a downburst of dry air that's helping to maintain the high pressure and prevent this thing down here from getting out of hand. Well, I think they have already done a good job at preventing that thing from getting out of hand. The clouds here are pretty much gone, and down here they're disappearing. Yeah, this stuff has to end. Getting tired of it. This low is trying to come into the west coast, but unfortunately though, high pressure's in effect over the west, and it doesn't have anywhere else to go besides up north. Look how broken up this front is. Don't see much precipitation in that at all. Alright, let's move on. We only have half a map this time. This is February 9th, 0 Zulu. See low pressure here, and right off to the east a bit, have a lot of empty area. Here's a high right here, and off to the east a bit, there's stuff coming down. You can see that. It'll be more visible in 500 millibar and 300 millibar though. Okay, this is 500 millibar. Okay, you could see that as the general flow wants to go and head into the west coast, it's just being blocked. This high pressure ridge is freaking huge. And, you know, with this high pressure in effect, all the weather's just going to be going up and around us, just like that. This is 18,000 feet, by the way. Okay, this is 300 millibar, pretty much the same story. Have a giant blockade right off of our coast. All the weather's gonna have to go up and around. Okay, this is the 1000 millibar wind map, just to show you the winds that we've been experiencing here. It was stronger earlier. This is February 9th, 0 Zulu, 1000 millibars. That's the surface, and you could see that everything's going offshore now. And yeah, a lot of wind is being driven down from Canada into the eastern US. Let's actually go back a little bit, show you the stronger winds. Okay, let's go back another 6 hours. Okay, there we go. This thing's going offshore now, pretty strong. You see these arrows? It's pointing towards the southwest. So basically, we have an east northeast wind, bringing some very low humidity values. Let's go look at the 1000 millibar surface relative humidity map. You can see that the humidity in Southern California above my area is less than 20%. It's very dry, and that in combination with the hot weather is just going to dry out everything. There's actually quite a bit of dryness in California. Most of the humidity is below 60%, and you have to get way offshore for the humidity to go back to saturated. Okay, this is the 850 millibar. Holy crap. Look at all that dry air off the west coast. And yeah, again, it's extending all the way up into Canada, down to Mexico. Very, very dry. This is 5,000 feet. Here, humidity is less than 20% at this level. All right. Okay, this is 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. More widespread dry air. Very, very dry all along the west coast. Sure, there's some humidity over Baja, but that's where this low is trying to go and spin up. Okay, 500 millibars. Huge, huge amount of dry air along the west coast, especially in California. Down in Baja, again, there was a low pressure that had some remnant relative humidity, but still slightly to the north over California. That's a lot of dry air. Less than 10% at this level, 18,000 feet. You have to go all the way into the Midwest before you start seeing reasonable values of 40 to 50%. And that's where all the moisture's going, up and around, completely dodging us in California, where it's most needed. And I must not stress this enough, this drought is deliberate. Got the crop insurance, you got the weather futures derivatives, etc. Water rights, control water.
We still have a lot of organic food. Biotech wants to get rid of it.
Ah, gosh, the list goes on, but yeah, don't think for 1 second that this drought is in fact natural. Okay, 300 millibars. Again, a lot of dry air off the west coast. It's very, very dry. Hey, you know what's funny? There's a lot of dry air over the eastern half of the country at this level. That's where the humid air is, at 12,000 feet below. That's a little bit interesting. Okay, this is just the flow going into the eastern US right here. I don't know why I'm using flash in here because that's prone to more crashing. This is February 8th, 2245 to
February 9th, 215 Zulu.
and here's just the general flow. This is long wave. And you see where our weather's going. It's just going up and around. Eastern US is getting some snow. And over here towards the west, we're just getting drought. This is just your typical polar vortex setup. A lot of the cold air is being driven down from Canada. And that's just going to make things miserable for them. Okay, this is the current temperature map. Well, actually, it's not so current now because, well, it's been a little while since I brought this thing up. But you get the picture here. It's definitely quite a bit warmer in the west than it is in the east. You can definitely see that jet stream distortion. Yeah, it's kind of like this. Anyways, yeah. And finally, let's go look at the NASA worldview. This is February 7th, and yeah, you can see that definitely there's a lot of opening out on the eastern Pacific, not much cloud cover. See this high pressure ridge, and in the center of the ridge, see all this spray, a lot of aerosols around. Look at the lines and everything. Pretty disgusting. All the waviness and clouds as well. This whole setup is completely screwed up. Just look at that for a second. And this is right off the coast of Oregon. And up near Washington, that's where you have to go to get some clouds near the coast. And even that is completely contaminated with these aerosols. Man, look at all this crap above the general area. Not good. Out to the east a bit. What do you see? See some lines being laid in this general flow. Very typical. Still though, look at that massive area of opening in the eastern Pacific. You see this weather system wanting to come in, but unfortunately though, it's hitting a giant brick wall and it's being rerouted up and around. Okay, let's go into February 8th. The clearing is getting a bit longer, a bit wider. I mean, look at that. Look how messed up this is. Not a whole lot of clouds at all along the coast. Again, we see these lines appearing off the coast of California. Pretty interesting. It's kind of wavy. Aerosols being laid off the northwest coast. That's just going to help with the high pressure. Yeah, not too much stuff to show other than this incredible distortion. It's just rerouting all the weather up through Canada and it's going down into the central and eastern US. Man, look at all the aerosols back east. That's insane. I thought we had it bad here. But my God. It's all through these entire systems. I think that's about it. Thank you for watching and please share. If more amazing events like this occur, I'll go and make a video on it.